So let's talk about carbon steel. It's become the darling of cookware for so many health-conscious cooks. We all praise it as this natural, chemical-free alternative to those non-stick pans. But a really shocking recall recently has made a lot of us ask a pretty tough question. Is the cookware we trust to be safe actually hiding a dangerous secret?
Think about it. So many of us, myself included, deliberately switched to carbon steel or cast iron. We did the research, right? We wanted to avoid those forever chemicals like PTFE, so we chose something simple, just iron and carbon. The assumption was that this was just an inherently safer choice. Today, we're going to put that assumption to the test.
And here it is. This is the promise that got so many of us hooked. On the left, you've got the problem with a lot of typical nonstick pans. Coatings that can break down at high heat, maybe release fumes. But on the right, that's the carbon steel dream. Simple materials, it can handle incredible heat, and the surface actually gets better the more you use it. I mean, it really felt like the perfect solution.
So let's back up a bit and break down exactly why carbon steel got so popular in the first place. What are the science-backed benefits that made it such a staple in so many healthy kitchens?
Well, carbon steel's biggest strength is really what it doesn't have. It's just an alloy of iron and a little bit of carbon, that's it, which means it's completely free of those forever chemicals like PTFE and PFOA. This makes it an absolute hero for high-heat cooking, getting that smoky wok hay flavor, which is a temperature where a Teflon pan could start to degrade. And as a little bonus, it can even leach small and often beneficial amounts of iron into your food.
And listen, that iron bonus, it's not a small thing. According to the World Health Organization, iron deficiency affects a staggering 30% of the entire global population. So for a lot of people, cooking with carbon steel can be a really simple, natural way to supplement this absolutely crucial mineral. But of course, carbon steel isn't non-stick right out of the box. You have to create that surface yourself. It's a process called seasoning. So let's take a look at how you literally forge your own natural non-stick shield.
I absolutely love this quote because it just reframes seasoning perfectly. It's not some chore you have to do, it's a craft. You are literally building a living surface that evolves and improves every single time you cook with it.
So what's the science behind this? It's a process called polymerization. Basically, when you heat a really thin layer of oil past its smoke point, it has a chemical reaction. It changes from a liquid into a hard, solid material that actually bonds directly to the pan. You're creating a natural, almost plastic-like coating just from regular old cooking oil. So here's how you do it. First, you heat up the clean pan, then you put your oil on, and now the crucial part, the secret sauce, is step 3, wipe it all off. Seriously, the biggest mistake people make is leaving too much oil, which just turns into a sticky mess. You want a layer so thin the pan actually looks dry. Then you heat it up past the smoke point, let it cool down a bit, and you just repeat that a few times. Do that, and you've built a solid foundation.
Okay, so we've got a natural material that we coat with a natural shield. It sounds absolutely perfect, right? Well, this is where our story takes a very sharp and frankly pretty disturbing turn. So back in April of 2022, the French government did something totally unexpected. It issued a recall for specific batches of a very popular, very well-respected brand of carbon steel pans, Mat Fabergé. And the reason why was, well, it was terrifying. A French regulatory agency found that when they tested these pans, they leached arsenic and chromium, we're talking heavy metals known to be toxic, into food at levels that went way past the European Union's really strict safety standards. All of a sudden, the safe alternative didn't seem so safe anymore. As you can imagine, this recall set off a total firestorm in the cooking community, and it launched a massive investigation. How could something like this even happen? And, more importantly, what does it mean for the pans that are sitting in our own kitchens right now? So why were these pans recalled in France, but not in the United States? Well, this chart here shows the pretty stark difference. The EU has a government agency that sets specific hard limits for heavy metals. In the US, the FDA has a much more general guideline of purity suitable for intended use, but no specific limits. And enforcement in the EU is mandatory, while in the US, it's basically a voluntary honor system for the manufacturers.
Okay, so you would expect a company that's facing findings of, arsenic in its products to respond with some pretty immediate and transparent action, right? Well, their response was anything but. Instead of taking responsibility, Mat Fabergé went on the defensive. First, they blamed their steel suppliers. Then, they attacked the government's official testing methods. And, maybe most concerning of all, they blamed their own customers, and they retroactively added warnings to their website against cooking with acidic foods, warnings that, conveniently, weren't there before the recall.
And this right here, this gets to the absolute heart of the matter. It was perfectly summarized in this quote from the YouTube channel Tom's Kitchen, who did a fantastic deep dive on this whole issue. Your seasoning layer should not have to be a biohazard shield.
Matfer tried to explain the whole thing by saying the government used the wrong fuel to test their engine. But honestly, a much more accurate analogy is this. It's like selling a car but then telling people they can't drive it on the highway because if they do, it might fall apart and poison them. The product itself has to be safe for its intended and reasonable use.
And this is the single most important takeaway from all of this. We season our pans for two reasons: to stop them from rusting and to create a non-stick surface. It was never, ever intended to be a protective barrier to stop heavy metals that shouldn't even be in the pan in the first place from getting into our food.
So, where does this all leave us? Is all carbon steel unsafe now? No, absolutely not. But this whole incident has taught us that we need to be way more vigilant. So let's build a quick checklist for how to choose and use your cookware safely.
First, choose brands that are transparent about their materials and can actually show you third-party lab results that prove their steel is pure. If a company won't share that with you, that's a huge red flag. Second, just follow the best practices for care. Always dry your pan completely on the stove to prevent rust, and look, while a well-seasoned pan can handle some acid, maybe avoid simmering a huge pot of tomato sauce for hours, since that can strip away your protective seasoning.
And that really brings us to the final question, the one this whole situation forces us to confront. When you build that beautiful, dark patina on your pan, what is its true purpose? Is it just there to help you flip the perfect egg, or has it now become a shield against what might be hiding in the metal itself? The answer to that question is going to change how you choose and how you use your cookware forever.